Over 100 videos about mechanical keyboards, but not one of them is a low profile one. Why? Truth is, they suck. I've tried a couple before, but they feel more like glorified Apple keyboards. The only good thing about low profile keyboards is that they are thin and lightweight. Perfect for stealing. I'm kidding. Kids do not steal. On the flip side, because they have such short key travel, the tactile feedback you get from a low profile keyboard is very lackluster. Most cases, tactile and linear low profile switches do not feel that different at all. You can see why I dislike them. Then one fine day, Newfie slid into my DMs and I was really skeptical, to which Newfie said, "Yeah, do your worst." So here we are. Wait, this is a low profile keyboard, right? Why is the packaging so... Ooh. But I don't want to just showcase this keyboard with sound tests. I wanted to get a full experience of daily driving it, since this is technically my first low profile mechanical keyboard and I had to get some mouse in to get a deeper insight. So my plan is to replace my Zoom TKL at the office and use this keyboard for hardcore productivity tasks, just to see how I like it. So for those who are on the fence about switching to this NOS 75, stay tuned for my comprehensive thoughts at the end. Before that though, let's go through the features of this keyboard. The NOS 75 has a unibody aluminum case. For a brand that has been creating budget plastic low profiles, this is their first low profile keyboard to be made from machined aluminum. And I have to say, the quality is top notch, maybe even better than some custom keyboards out there. It's pretty hefty for a low profile keyboard. I also love how this keyboard looks. It's kind of like a mix of Space 65, Phase 1 and Keycult, all blended into one, giving it a real unique look. But what I'm liking here is this feet. And no, I don't have a foot fetish. I like how it's built to fit the curve that frames up the back. A PVD weight is also available for purchase if you want extra flair. Moving on to the keycaps, these are made from PBT with Newfie's own NSA profile to suit the thin form factor. These PBT keycaps are, well, okay, with a nice density to them. If you don't like the look of these keycaps, I recommend you to get the bare bones kit, and then look into better third-party ones since Newfie's offering is frankly quite limited. Personally, not feeling these novelties, although the color theme is quite okay. Speaking of variety, this aluminum case only comes in silver. Yep, only silver. And honestly, I understand why. CNC aluminum is not cheap, and unlike the custom keyboard hobby, Newfie sunk a huge amount of capital into making this keyboard in stock, so they can't afford to pour more into making colors that people may not want. Unfortunately, if silver is not your thing, this keyboard is not for you. Going under the hood, these are N1 nano switches, basically version 3.0 of Gateron's low profile switches. These N1 nano switches are 3.4mm in travel, which is the same as some popular long pole ones like Speed Silvers, HMX Singhai, and Baby Kangaroos in the custom keyboard world. These give a good tactile feedback and actually aren't shit like the previous versions. You can choose to have them come lubed or unlubed, although there's really no reason for anyone to get these unlubed, especially since they cost the same as well. PCB wise, you can have the option of having it hot swapped or soldered. There's also a subtle RGB at the side, which is an aesthetic I personally appreciate. And like their previous keyboards, Newfie bestowed the NOS 75 QMK and VIA compatibility, which is something I have been advocating for all keyboard brands to adopt. If there are a lot of you who don't know what QMK or VIA is, leave a comment down below and I'll perhaps consider doing an in-depth tutorial on that down the line. However, the biggest offering by far is the amount of customizations that you can do to this keyboard. For one, plate options are plenty. They include carbon fiber, FR4, aluminum, polycarbonate, and POM. For those who don't know what a plate is, it's basically a medium on which the mechanical switches sit, otherwise they'll just be wobbling around on the keyboard when you type. And these plates have a huge impact on how a keyboard sounds and feels. And of course, the foams. They are used for you to alter the amount of dampening in the keyboard, and to my knowledge, such a degree of customization has never ever been offered in a low profile mechanical keyboard. If you think that's all there is, there are even multiple mounting options that you can choose from. Coined as their Omni mount, you can have 4 different stiffness of gasket mounting, as well as top and bottom mounting. I'll do a sound test of my favorite configurations in this NOS 75, so stick around for that. Hang on, why wait, I'll do that now. If you watched enough of my videos, you know that I don't like PE foam. Then, there's this plastic piece of sound dampening which serves to mute the keyboard. And no, we don't want a silent keyboard, do we? With POM switches that are characteristically deep sounding, I'm going to lean wholly into that. But what is considered higher pitched? Just listen to my daily driver. However, I'm not going to bore you with a load of technical explanations. I'll just put them down in the description below for those of you who are interested in the nitty-gritty scientific details. What I will do instead is to walk you through the way I configured my NOS 75. The first comparison I'm doing is between one with 2 layers of case foam and one with 1. You will find that with all else constant, the amount of case foam serves to eliminate hollowness. Take a listen. Now, hollowness is not technically a flaw, but in the NOS 75, I find it pretty distracting. 2 case foam is therefore preferred. The next comparison is between one with no plate foam and one with. While plate foam raises the pitch here, it also raises the volume, which is what I'm really after. I find it to be a reasonable trade-off. Then these two here serve to show the effect of PE foam. Which is the trendy sound signature these days. Put that in if you're interested. Finally, to top it off, I did a top mount. No pun intended. The acoustic signature of a top mount is hard to describe, since it is fundamentally different from a gasket one. It makes the keyboard sound fuller and punchier. Now, after hearing all these combinations, remember how I said the N1 Nano switch is the hidden ace? For compact keyboards, there really isn't much space to do any kind of impactful mods to tune the acoustics, and that's why the typical acoustic range for low-profile keyboards is rather narrow and also on the quieter end. But because these N1 Nanos have almost the same travel as some long pole switches, overall acoustics becomes louder with previous low-profile switches, and therefore gives better clarity. This means that any change you do to the plates, foam, and mounting will be amplified for a pretty noticeable difference. I was really skeptical at the start. Low profile had felt closer to that of a thicker laptop or scissor style keyboard, since typing feel and tactility is shortchanged. It doesn't help that low profile keyboards have always felt cheap, since cheap materials like plastics are used to keep them lightweight and portable. But honestly, I feel that this is a wrong direction to market low profile keyboards. The argument for portability is, well, just shit. What's the point of portability? Desktop users like me just chuck it at my desk and leave it. Besides, if portability is such a concern, well, guess what? A laptop already comes with a keyboard which is lower in profile. And to bring around an additional portable keyboard with your laptop is anything but portable. And if you are really into portability, you will most likely be carrying around tablets equipped with a Bluetooth keyboard. So the need for a low profile mechanical keyboard to be more portable didn't make a lot of sense to me from the get-go. Not to mention, at over a kilogram, the NOS 75 is not something that you can just carry around all day. It's just too heavy. Speaking of portability, I've been daily driving this keyboard for about a week now, and honestly, typing on the keyboard feels great. And these NSA profile keycaps is rather ergonomic compared to some other ones I've recently tried, giving me less typos overall. It's not all perfect though. For starters, the NOS 75 is pingy. A force break mod is needed where you put some tape in between spots that have metal on metal contact. Then there's the stabilizers. These are bad, like ticking bad. The shorter modifiers are fine, but the spacebar ticks really badly. I took it apart and I'm surprised at how thin the wire is. It is also very uneven, which is the source of the ticking. But because it's so thin, bending it flat was very exhausting. I finally got it right and the result is rewarding. Also, the aluminum plate is machined a tad too tight. Instead of just pushing the switches in, I had to use a tool to pop the latch in place. Cumbersome. Oh, and threaded inserts are found on the default FR4 plate, but are missing for the extra plates where the standoff should be. Then, there's no wireless capability. To me, it feels like a missed opportunity because my office desk is constantly in a mess, and going wireless is very useful in keeping wire mess down. Did I also mention how this low profile keyboard is actually not that low? The angled base here looks nice, but it's kinda an oxymoron. Okay, so who is this for? For the average user looking for a budget keyboard at a price of 200 USD and above, this is hard to recommend. Pre-builds from other brands like bouncier have plenty of options for that. This is specifically targeted at people who are looking for not only a minimalistic aesthetic, but also a low-profile form factor in order to get this keyboard not just sounding the way you want, but also the right way. Not everyone knows and wants to do force break mod or tune stabilizers. Not to mention, Newfie has cheaper options in their own lineup, and their competitors like Lo-Free, Keychron, and Logitech have pretty compelling budget options as well. Although I have to say, these competitors are significantly less feature-rich than this NOS 75 here. Forking out over $200 for this is therefore for those who are attracted by the mountain of customizability options and are specifically looking for a low-profile keyboard. But for those who already own a low-profile keyboard and are looking for a new or better typing experience, I recommend first trying out the Gateron 3.0 low-profile switches. I don't think spending an additional $200 is needed unless you really feel like you want to tinker with your keyboard, or you like the look of the NOS 75 and simply want a change in scenery. For the enthusiast and keyboard collector, you have to get this. Sure, it's a little more expensive than budget boards like the QK and Neo, but I truly believe this is the first low-profile keyboard that is endgame worthy. It doesn't have a rectangular or boxy design like typical Chinese keyboards, and is unique enough to be put on par with the better design houses in our hobby. And never has there been such a customizable low-profile keyboard in all aspects. It was extremely fun experimenting with this keyboard. This is a good one to add to my collection. Perhaps the king of all low-profile mechanical keyboards for now. Alright, I'm done. See ya.